I feel stupid. Just wait. I have to get it up and running. Iota, are my goggles connected to the VI unit?
Yes, sir.
Just lay down? Yep. Just relax. And I'll turn the machine on. Iota, activate the machine.
Yes, sir.
Iota, key me in on observer mode.
Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair, and to the final week of Halloween in the Lair. This week we're looking at Goosebumps. Yeah, it's a kid's book, but it's Halloween and I haven't done a short story sanctuary in a while. So, let's get to it. Man, his mind is weird. Okay, so a bit of a backstory into the world of Goosebumps for the uninitiated. Goosebumps is a children's horror series made by the author R.L. Stine. It's a bunch of basic horror concepts, but made for kids. And don't think that's an insult. Some of these stories are downright terrifying. And there are a ton of these books. Plus, there were 3 anthologies, which is what we're looking at today. Yeah, the entire anthology collection is in this book. We're only taking a look at 3 today. Those 3 are A Werewolf's First Night, P.S. Don't Write Back, and The Perfect School. Let's begin. The first story starts off with a boy, Brian, being taken to camp. He doesn't want to go as he's nervous since it's teen camp. He used to go to the kids' camp, but this is the year that he aged out. His mother tells him that the time is coming, and he'll feel much better after that. I assume she means puberty, where your voice gets deeper, you grow hair in weird places, and you start to notice girls. And it can be rough. I mean, remember how it was for Michael J. Fox? In the kids' camp, they were always told that there were werewolves living near the camp. They arrive, and Brian meets Kevin, the token ginger kid, and the 3 alpha males of the camp, Jake, Phil, and Don. During a baseball game, Brian sees Don's teeth, which are fangs, and this leads Brian to believe that the legends were true and that Don is a werewolf. Then Don smiles again and the fangs are gone, which convinces him further. Brian checks the dates of the full moons and finds out that the next one is in a mere 4 days. While he's alone in the cabin, he hears rustling and growling from outside, and he looks and sees Phil, who must also be a werewolf. Then he finds out that Kevin and Jake are too. He calls his mom and tries to get out of the trip by faking illness, but it doesn't work in typical cliché fashion. The next night, he's cornered by all the werewolves, and right before they attack, they take off their masks, revealing that it was all a joke. And then Brian feels weird. His stomach is growling, his body feels itchy, and he becomes a werewolf. The other campers run away, and then he realizes he is hungry, and gives chase. Still think these are for kids? I believe that about 4 murders just occurred. This isn't any children's horror story. Next up is P.S. Don't Write Back. It's about a kid named David going to camp, and he loves it there. Except the camp director is a bit of a douche. And he also hasn't received any letters from home. All his friends got letters and care packages, but he didn't get any. When he does, it's a bit suspicious. It says that they aren't coming for visiting day, and that his sister misses him. They always come for visiting day, according to him, and that's odd. And his sister was ecstatic when she left, so she couldn't possibly miss him. Okay, I get the first one, but unless your sister is an unfeeling bitch, she has to miss you a little bit. It seems like she teases him, and you'd miss having the one kid that you tease having them around to tease you. But whatever. And the letter also said, P.S. don't write back, which is also weird. The next one is even weirder. It says that he's being sent to live with his elderly uncle. David freaks out and tries to get to a phone, but he only gets the machine. He examines the letter closely and discovers that it's not for this camp. It's for another one. He's at Timber Lake Hills, and these were for Timber Lane Hills. And it's odd that the names and relatives coincide, but that's not important, because he plans to go find the other David, because that kid probably has his letters. He rows across the lake to the other camp, and it seems abandoned, but there's a bony kid that points him in the direction of the other David. At that point, I'd have done the Scooby-Doo, oh, okay, run thing, but I guess he's not as big a scaredy cat as I am. The other David is a freak. He starts screaming at our David, asking who he is and that they can't see him here. He runs back to the boat and dashes back to camp, where the director says that his mother called and that they had went away, explaining the lack of letters and calls. But David interrupts, raving about the other camp, which the director said burned down 30 years ago. David checks the envelope again, and he checks the date, which is July 10th, 1964. And the final story is The Perfect School, which is the best story that was adapted into an episode of the television show, second only to The Haunted Mask. The story is about a problem child, Brian O'Connor. They send him to the perfect boarding school for a 2-week course. He makes friends with a kid named CJ on the way in, and they see the graduates, who are all in gray uniforms and have a gray suitcase, kind of like those clone kids from Spy Kids. They all get assigned numbers, which are now their names. Still think these are dumb kid stories? We have the Hitler allegory right off the bat in this one. Brian's number is 116. They're taken to their rooms, which are basic and have the basic necessities. You know, the normal dystopian stuff. He hears voices from the walls, and like any sane kid, investigates it. But before that, all the kids were given a quiz, like, what do you call your parents, and what did you wear for Halloween in the past 5 years? Brian decides to fuck with them and puts down bullshit answers. They place him in a special training course because of that. A girl warns him not to go into the pattern room, but he's taken there against his will. They measure every inch of his body and make sure they have his specifications. It's almost like they're trying to clone him or something. He calls his mom, and of course, she doesn't believe him. But the teacher takes the phone and says that he's finishing the course earlier than the others. He's sent back to his room and he hears the whispers and checks the vent, and sees children in prison cells. They warn him that the school is making robots of the kids and sending them home. He goes out to try to save the kids and runs into CJ, but it's too late, because CJ actually works for them and takes him to the cage. He's shoved into the cage and the teachers return Brian to his parents. But that's just it. It actually is Brian. He slipped out at the last minute, trapping CJ in the room and putting his robot into there too. He takes the robot's place and returns home to attempt to save the other kids in the future. And that was 30 Tales to give you goosebumps. It's a fantastic series, and you can bet we're coming back to this gem in the future. But I just want to wish you all a happy Halloween, and I hope that you have fun. Thanks for sticking around for Halloween in the Lair, and I hope you come back next week. He hasn't shown up yet. Iota, key me out.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. What's that smell?
There is no scent on my sensors.
I know this smell. It can't be. It can't be. Ah. Iota, do you know what this is?
I do not, sir.
This is a neurotoxin I was working on before I was split in half. I was having trouble with the ethical part because it has no scent until after it's been sitting for a few weeks, and it's basically untraceable in a human body. And I made sure it could never affect me. And that's why Michael went crazy. Because of this. Scan it and stop making the antidote, and key me back in on interactive mode. And when you have it, replicate it immediately. And warn me.
Aye, sir.
Shut up. You're worthless, you impudent swine. Shut your damn mouth! Ah, Mike Sano. I've been waiting for you. I know what you are. I had a hand in creating you, and I will have a hand in your demise. It's too late. I've spread too far. You made me adaptive. Remember? Why do you even want to save this worthless pile of flesh? This worthless pile of flesh is my friend. He took me in, despite what I did to him. Last year, I tried to conquer the galaxy. I mutilated a man and turned him into a cyborg because I thought it would be funny. I killed a hologram of him. Despite all that, when, due to my own stupidity, I ended up here unconscious, he took me in. He didn't tell Maverick and arrest me. He is the bravest man and the most nice in the entire multiverse. And you know what? I am glad that I can call him a friend. And you should not have let me do that. And why is that? Because I may or may not have taken the antidote to your virus, and may or may not have injected Michael with it. No. No! Mike Sano, what happened? I got rid of him. He was my fault, and I destroyed him. The antidote Iota made had an added effect of giving you an immunity from the toxin. And it's all over? Yes. And now I want you to rest a bit, and then enjoy the rest of your Halloween. And you? I'm going to refit the helmet to scan my mind. Hey, did you really mean all of that? Yes, every word of it was the truth. I forgive you. For what? Everything you did before you were split by the transporter. It's all water under the bridge now. You're a different person. Thank you, I needed to hear that.